For example, please mute your mic if you're not speaking. As much as possible, just check to see that your mic is muted at intervals, right? Also, you can, if you have a comment, when we get to the comment session or the question and answers session, you can just use the raise hand icon and we will call you to speak. Then you unmute and speak. As well, we'll be having a lot of conversations in the chat today. We really want it to be a dialogue, really. So you're not just listening in, but we'd like to hear from you, hear your perspectives as well. So please be in the chat during the session. There'll be things thrown to us to respond to in the chat. So please let the chat buzz today. Okay, thank you for joining. I already see Glory from Lagos. Thank you. Toro from Ibadan. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So good to have you. Oluwaseyi from Lagos. Thank you for joining. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. All right. So that said, again, welcome to the Global Money Week webinar presented by Lapo Microfinance Bank. Just, a bit of who we are, who is Lapo? Lapo Microfinance Bank. And just to say that Lapo actually stands for Lift Above Poverty Organization. And the Microfinance Bank, we are a pro-poor, pro-women institution, financial institution dedicated to, financial literacy, financial empowerment, for especially working with those in the bottom of the pyramid, but also, with individuals across different spheres of life, really just working towards helping you on the journey to financial independence, and, freedom, as it were, providing, products and services across, lending, savings, investment advice, and a couple of insurance as well, and a couple of other financial products. We've been in business for over 36 years, roughly about 36 years now. And we have our locations across the 34 states in Nigeria with about 535 branches. And we've done this really well, and we'll continue to support our clients and our partners in delivering financial products and services, as well as fostering financial literacy, which is why we're actually having this webinar today, because the Global Money Week is really a global campaign to help push the importance of financial literacy, especially for the young people. And so we're in support of that campaign to educate, to inform, to inspire, and to encourage financial habits, good financial habits that will help youth, go on that journey towards financial independence. So that's who we are, and we're so excited to be having this conversation with everyone here, with our guests, who I will introduce in a bit. But just before we move further, is anyone here who joined us last year at the Global Money Week webinar we had last year as well? If you're here and you joined us last year, you could just put a yes in the chat, or maybe a raise hand icon. You could use that to let us know if you joined us last year. And if you did, what stood out for you? It would be good to see that. So we also have some kind of recap of the Global Money Week webinar we had last year. It was about plan your money, plan your future. And we had a guest speaker also last year who did a fantastic job with providing insights into money management, savings, budgeting, spending, and quite a number of things that was shared. It was a hybrid event that we had last year, and it was very beautiful. So if you're here and you joined us last year, if you just use your raise hand icon or drop a chat, a message in the chat, it would be good to see. Anyone joining us from who was here last year? Well, if you are, that would be good to see. Again, we're having this one this year, and it promises to even be better. Because the Global Money Week for 2024, the theme really is around protect your money, secure your future. Such an important topic or theme to have, when we talk about financial literacy and financial inclusion, right? Because all of these efforts towards growing your funds and, becoming financially literate, financially independent, if you also do not know how to secure the funds, I mean, the threats, the global threats we're seeing, across right now are actually very disturbing. So it's important that we also get insight into how we could protect our funds and then of course secure the future. So this year's Global Money Week theme is the protect your money and secure your future. And we'll be discussing everything around being vigilant against financial risks, improving your financial intelligence, looking at cybersecurity, ways that we could protect our funds. Really, those are the conversations we'll be having here today. And with me, very honored to introduce our guests immediately. First is our guest speaker, Uche Uzuegbo, who is ably represented by Ihechukwu Ibeji, who is the Chief Marketing Communications Officer of SANEF. It's very good to have you. I'm going to go more into your brief, your profile as we move on in the event. But thank you for joining. Thank you for accepting our invitation. It's good to have you. Our second guest speaker is Wayimi Eribo, who is a friend of the house, a partner, a friend of the house, and it's good to have her. She will be joining shortly. I see she's not yet on, but she'll be joining us shortly. So once again, welcome to this event. I hope that will be very educative for you and be able to learn, unlearn, and then relearn, and then share some of these insights even with others as we move on. So let's go straight into the conversations today. The flow of the event would be a 30 minutes presentation by the guest speakers, and then a 10 to 15 minutes Q&A session. So please, we ask that you pay attention, you follow the conversation, and then if you have questions, please drop them in the chat as we've mentioned earlier. So we have a rich engagement. It's important that you also ask questions and clarify any doubts or request for insights into how you could manage your money better, how you can secure your funds as well, as we look towards planning for the future. So I'll just go ahead and read the profile just to introduce our guest speaker, our first guest speaker, who is Ihechukwu Ibeji. He's a seasoned marketing communications executive and financial services professional with over 18 years cognate work experience across various sectors. He's currently the Chief Marketing Communications Officer of SANEF, which means Shared Agent Network Facilities Limited. He possesses experience and expertise in driving business decisions and communication strategies in line with corporate visions to influence brand awareness and perception. As a leadership expert, Ihechukwu has been responsible in overseeing brand management activities and implementing effective business and corporate communications strategies at the highest level, really. His work cuts across financial inclusion, agent banking, product design and marketing, market research and strategy, brand perception management, strategic communications. I mean, a whole lot that he has done over the years. I mean, 18 years is not a joke. So really good work you've done. And he's a result-oriented expert. I'm sure we're going to see some of those as he discusses with us today, with solid leadership and management qualities, experience in developing and implementing high-end communications and public relations strategies, guiding strategic brand marketing proposals, repositioning clients' brand equity, creating revenue-generating marketing plans to enhance business footprints. Of course, he's also an adept person in designing programs that enhance visibility and perception of brands. He has deployed market insights, created revenue generating marketing strategies, and a lot of other things that he's done so far in his 18 years work in Nigeria and also across Africa. He's a member of the Nigeria Institute of Public Relations and contributes to several publications and articles. It's such an honor to have you, Mr. Ihechukwu Ibeji. Thank you for joining. And I think that I would pass on the mic to you now to share with us your deep insights, and then we would go on with the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dorcas. I hope you can all hear me. Good morning, all. I hope I can. I'm loud enough.
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Good morning, all. Maybe I start with saying, is it Happy Global Money Week? I hope that we do have an interesting session. I just have it's such an honor, right, to be here today, and of course standing for Chief Distribution and Stakeholder Engagement Officer Uche, who was unfortunately absent from this session. But I'll try my best to fill in as best I can. I will just go ahead and quickly share a bit of something I prepared, something very brief, or something that can lead the conversation. Just let me know if you can see if you can see my slide. Can you see my slide? Can you see my slide? Okay, great. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the response. Response is key. You know, in communication, they say that 74.9% of what we communicate is nonverbal, but the rest is by word. So at this point, I rely on your word for me to move ahead. So essentially, this is just a brief repost of what Global Money Week really is. What we are marking this month from 18th to a better part of next month, which essentially also delves into a World Savings Day. It is an annual global awareness. What it does essentially is to it creates a campaign that creates awareness for people to at an early age to be financially aware, to understand the importance and the benefits of financial literacy, to also understand the importance of terminology such as investment, to understand the need to save, to also understand the knowledge, skills, and attitudes and behaviors that are necessary to make important financial decisions that will, of course, ultimately affect our financial well-being and financial resilience. So this essentially is what Global Money Week is. Before I delve in, I apologize. Normally, we will take a brief repost of the organization of where we come from and all that, but we'll just leave that for now and go straight into the presentation proper so that we can catch up on another time. So we go straight to the first point of conversation. What is financial literacy? I mean, we hear it mounted every time from rooftops. What really is financial literacy? What we've done in this case is try to put it as easy and easily understandable as you can. Financial literacy essentially is for you to have the knowledge and skills as an individual to manage your financial resources, to be able to be aware, to have the knowledge, of the skills and wisdom to manage your financial resources, the money you earn, the money that you go out of your way to get. How do you manage it? To be able to that awareness, that understanding, that knowledge, all right, is what is attached to financial literacy. Essentially, what it does is effectively enhances your ability to have that knowledge and awareness of the knowledge and skills to manage your financial resources, enhances your economic well-being, as you would agree with me. It's basically about you being empowered to make informed financial decisions. So, I mean, when you earn or when you make money, what are you spending on? How do you spend it? Which part do you take out to save? What part do you invest? What part do you use as your daily operational money? The scale of preference, your ability to put an effective and solid scale of preference for your finances, is what I trace to financial literacy. It contributes to your stable financial system, both as an individual, as an organization. Of course, as an individual, it comes in a more minuscule manner, in a more minute manner, a smaller manner. But as an organization, it comes, as we understand, at a more global view, in a more extensive manner. So, I mean, to ensure that children and young people, not just children and young people, everybody really develop sound financial habits, knowledge, attitudes, and behavior, when to use that money effectively, how to use it effectively, how to go to the market and price. It's not just seeing want to go and buy a good, you just go into the market to buy a good. Why not do a research of that thing that I mean, and we have the internet is available for us. So you have an idea of what you're going to buy, how much it costs at various places. The quality of what you're buying is sync it with the cost. So that when you're going to that market, you are aware. Because it's important for you not to throw money down the drain. That is also part of financial literacy. So as you price, that is part of financial habit. How do I spend this money? What do I spend it on? Am I being overpriced on a good or service I'm buying? That is part of skills of financial literacy. The knowledge, attitude, behavior is important to learn about income, savings, investing, spending, and of course, all of that. And that is clearly broken in here a bit. You can see when you look at financial literacy, we're talking about earning, how to receive money for work done or services rendered. When I go to the office 8 to 5 and I come back home, I have worked for a day. You have just expended energy. Your money for the month has been calculated in such a way it's divided for every day. That day's earning is the expense of energy that you're going to dissipate for whatever work you're doing. It is important for you to understand that that money that you've earned, you use it well and use it wisely. Saving. At the end of the month, you receive your money. How do you save? How do you keep money aside for future purpose? What do you use it for? Investing. I mean, it's not just enough to save. It's good to save, solid to save, but you could go a step ahead to try and invest in regulated fields. That is, areas that are approved by bodies that approve these areas. You invest your money in these areas so it gives you return in your investment, legal return. And I'm not talking of returns that are Ponzi schemes or put you into trouble that you do not want to be. Spending. How do you pay for money for goods and services, donations, gifts to friends and relatives, and of course, how to guard one's savings and payment instruments against potential risk. All of this snowball into what financial literacy really is all about. We can never completely conclude a conversation around financial literacy because it is the nexus of our lives living every day. So I mean, so the importance of financial literacy, essentially, it helps us to understand, just as we said before, it helps us to understand and effectively use, it helps us to effectively use various financial skills, such as your personal financial management, savings, budgeting, investing. How do you use those things? That is what financial literacy does for you. It gives you the knowledge. It helps you acquire that knowledge on how money works in the world. So, I mean, just a quick breakdown of that. How you earn or make money is financial literacy. How you invest that money, turn it into more money, is financial literacy. How you manage your money so that you don't fritter it away. I mean, we all are in one or two spots of border sometimes where we find ourselves asking ourselves, what did I spend that money on? I just had 10,000 in my pocket and it's gone. How do you manage your money is part of financial literacy. How do you use your money to help others? Excuse me. That also is part of financial literacy because there are other people who need to understand that when you use your money to help others, it is also financial literacy because you have to understand the limits behind that so that it doesn't also cut into that which you have set aside for these various fields that I have mentioned earlier on. Okay, so I mean, essentially, it is learning about how money works and how to solve for your thriving future. And this is just a bit of on the side, just quick definitions around financial literacy. And it means to receive money in exchange for work or service provided. When you earn money, that means that you receive money for the work or services that you're provided for the person, for a company, for an association, for anybody. Earning means receiving money in exchange for work or services provided. Save means to set aside money for future use instead of spending it all immediately. Spend means to use your money to purchase, to get, to acquire goods or services that you need or want. And of course, need or want are two different definitions. Need is something that it is important. It is in your scale of preference, your needs come before your want. Want are those things that are a bit less important. But I mean, it's good to have, but you can ignore them. Invest means to put your money into a venture or into something that can increase the value of your money over time. Donate means to give money or resources to help others in need. This also breaks down the previous part that speaks to the importance of financial literacy. And I just gives you a bit more, just to garnish a bit. Paid job. You can earn money by working. Ways by which you can earn money. You can earn money by working at a job, whether you're a teacher, you're a banker, you're a doctor, you're, police officer. That's a job that you're doing. And there is, as they say, there's dignity in labor. Business, you have a business you're running. It's a way of creating value by offering products. I mean, everything cannot come from a paid employment. So if you buy goods and services and you put a little bit of interest on top of it, that is the business that you have. And you sell it to those people, exchange money for those goods. That in itself is a business. You satisfy the want or need of people and you earn money in exchange. And of course, vocation, sorry about that. Vocation is, I mean, this applies a lot to the young people out there. It's a way to earn money by offering services that utilize your skills or interests. Tailoring, mechanic, essentially vocation is about skill, the skill you learn. And they say that a lot. I mean, my father used to say, the skill you learn today saves you tomorrow. So that tailoring that is so, and nowadays it's so important. The mechanics are the ones controlling. The tailors are the ones controlling now. If a recent research that was carried out, survey, it said that the skill set out there now controls more than 69.4%. And I think that research is a bit conservative because I think it's a lot more than that now, because that skill set controls quite a lot, because it's not dependent on when you're working or if you're not working, essentially. So now let's go into quickly understanding financial risk. And I mean, behind financial literacy, now you understand it. You have the skill, the knowledge about money, how to save, how to earn, the importance of saving and earning, importance of investment. You also need to understand the financial risks that come with the money that you've earned. What are those risks associated? What, first and foremost, is financial risk? Is the possibility of losing the money, an investment or business venture. That money in your hand, the risk of losing it is what is called financial risk. I mean, some of them, I mean, and this speaks to more of the corporate end. All right, we're going to look at both the corporate end, all right, and then of course the primary end. I mean, there's some common and distinct financial risk include credit risk, all right, the risk that is entrenched around the credit processing organization. All right, the credit process essentially are the way the funds, either the funds are being circulated, either the investments are being done in the organization, that is associated with that. Then liquidity risk. The liquidity risk has to do with the risk involved in the amount of money that an organization have. Is it becoming solvent? And a lot of organizations are very careful when it comes to liquidity risk, when they want to take decisions after budgeting. Of course, operational risk has a lot to do with the operations of organizations. This is for organizations essentially, and we're coming from, as I said, the corporate end into the other end. Organizations face the possibility of default on a lot of debts they undertake. That also is a risk in itself. So, sorry. Before we go to that, now, some types of financial risk, and this is the primary risks that we speak to, and the ones that we face every day as individuals: scams and frauds. Scams and frauds are risks that you entail when somebody deceives you into releasing your money, all right, and then defrauds you and then completely blindfolds you. Those funds where somebody breaks into your account and wires money from your account, all right, is a fraud. And that's a bank fraud. There are different kinds of scams and fraud. But for the benefit of this, we shall just globalize it, essentially. And for scams, the ability for people to deceive you generally, all right, to part with your money. And of course, they don't give you value for whatever it is you're expecting. Online shopping scams. And this entails creation of links, all right, dot accounts online where you think that they are the real ones, they're the real online shopping centers, and you go there to shop, all right, and you exchange money, and then you're expecting to receive your goods. You never receive your goods. Those are some types of online shopping scams. Phishing has to do with the unsolicited emails that you receive in your official mailboxes or your personal mailboxes from people who clone accounts, create links that redirect the details of your bank details, and they're able to harvest the funds to your account. So the phishing comes in form of emails and then embedded links, all right, that when you click on those links, what it does essentially is you open the links and you feel that you're filling in accurate details. You want to purchase something from a site, or you want to exchange money for a value that you really want. You put in those details, and then the person can come from the back end, take those details, and then harvest into your account and take money. That's phishing. The email itself is what is called phishing. The money muling, this is one that people do not really, they don't really put a name around it, but Ponzi scheme, it is kind of money muling, money doublers, gambling, wonder bank. The default rate, the fraud that comes out of that is money muling. So a lot of times you go to gamble and they say, I mean, I'm not very conversant in it in the actuality, but in theoretical value and with the experiences we've had over time, being in this line of financial services that we provide, you see people who go to gamble, they just go to different gambling stations and they drop money. They say, oh, we're paying for this to come to this. And then at the end of the day, they don't get their money. And then they have 1 million in their account. They keep playing until that 1 million finishes. You don't understand that it is an orchestrated strategy to win you off your money. That is a type of money muling. Of course, Ponzi scheme. I mean, you can all remember the previous MMM. Pay this to get this, get this to get this, and so many people were paying, and then they leave you with a specific period, and then as you're making the money is increasing, you're getting more interested, and then at the time when they have decided it's time, they close the window. At that point in time, all the monies that you have invested, you've brought in your friends, and you see, oh, I made interest in the first one, I can make more. It's lost. That is part of money muling. Money muling is very, very strong and powerful today, and it's something that people overlook, but it is still there. I'm very privileged. Data privacy risk, such as identity theft. This is one that we have. When we're in the bank, this was something that was so very rampant. Identity theft is, I mean, the ability of somebody to use your identity, and simply put, use your identity to harness or access your account and swindle you of your money. The person gains access to your signing details, all right, and then uses your signing details to identify himself or present himself as you, and able to use that to get approval to wire money. Or for those who are daring enough, they're able to get to clone your account details, the globally accepted identity, such as national ID card. All right, they forge it and go to the bank. There are some people who are that bold and they're able to access into your account. So these are some types of financial risks. There are others that are prevalent today, but these are just some of them that are primary risks that we need to be fully aware of, and of course take full cognizance of. So, and then how can you avoid falling victim to financial risk, fraud, and scams due to, of course, limited financial literacy and experience? Every day, and I mean, we have a very extensive training subset that we do, awareness creation that we do. Every time we go out, we always say, keep your personal information safe. Your PIN is for you. It's a personal identification number for a reason. It's not a public identification number. It is a personal identification number. Keep it safe. It is for you and you alone. And of course, also aside just keeping it safe, the PIN number, you must also be very conscious of the number, the combination of numbers that you use to create that PIN number. It must not be easily identifiable. So people say, oh, I can just use my birthday. Well, some people may just know that. And they just said, oh, okay, this is what his birthday is. And they just keep trying. All right. Because look, one of the worst things you can face is a desperate fraudster. And one who has information against you is one who can easily defraud you. Of course, your BVN is key to keep it safe. Your ATM card, there's no gainsaying. In fact, nowadays, the recent fraud that's happening, they don't need your PIN. They just need the card, the number behind your card, your VIN number, that's all they need. Once they need it, in fact, sometimes they may not even need the card. Once they just need that and they can clone it, that's all they need. So you need to keep it as safe as possible. I mean, that is one part of financial literacy that we cannot overemphasize. Be conscious of cold callers. Anything that you have not planned. And it's difficult because there's some things that, there's some times that you go out and you just see something you like. It's not planned. All right. I just want this. Yeah, but even at that, you also need to be very conscious about people who come to you willing to sell certain goods or services at your doorstep over the phone when you didn't ask them. And all of a sudden they are contacting you. All right. Sometimes now, this is what we see now, is this WhatsApp groups. Sometimes you just see somebody call you from, oh, I'm in so-and-so WhatsApp group. You're in that WhatsApp group. I just called to tell you so. You need to be very careful about such people, especially if these are people that you don't identify in those groups. Patronize only safe online sales platform. And it's very, very easy. For instance, the banks that you use, the financial institutions that you use, they have approved email formats. And when they send email formats, they send you the approved email address. So for instance, you see www.sosoandsobank.com. If you're looking at it and you're saying www.g.sosoandsobank.com, you need to be very careful, because that extra alphabet there can just be what will completely spoil your entire day and take you to a different site that is cloned to look at that bank. That's not what it is. Patronize, don't put your money into a venture you don't understand. I mean, that is what we have done in this slides, and to make it as simple to understand as possible. And that's one of the powers of financial literacy. It must be simple to understand. Do not put your money into a venture that you do not understand, because at the end of the day, it may come out to be a Ponzi scheme. It is better for you to have that original amount, the principal money that you have, than for you to want to double money. At the end of the day, you lose it. Keep your money only in duly licensed financial institutions, of course, regulated by the Central Bank of Nigeria, who are the official regulators. These are just ways by which you can avoid falling the victim to financial risk. Budgeting. I mean, this is so important in financial literacy subset. What is budgeting? Why do we budget? This is an area that we found out that people don't take very seriously. They don't take budgeting. And so in the work we do, what we do is that we have a totally different model that is specially dedicated to budgeting, where you even have ledger, how to use ledgers. So now, a budget is a tool that you keep track of your spending and plan your finances. When they say tool, it sounds to you as if it is something that is so complex. It's not. That's one of the reasons why we put this down here. You see this tabular format? This can be your budget. You just draw it up, and then you put it in a format that which you can understand, needs, actual spending. What it does for you is at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, it shows you your inflow, your need. Your need is that thing that is very important. It's not a want. Your need is that is very, very important. And then against that need, actual spending. What have you spent? What did you spend? How did you spend that? How much did you spend against that need? All right. If your need is to pay your school fees, and on Monday you are the kind of person who has broken your school fees into installments. On Monday you have 10,000 naira, and actual spending across that is 8,000. That means you have a pending 2,000 to carry over to Tuesday. You put that down. And this is a layman's reason. There are people who have more complex manners of doing it. But of course, as I said before, financial literacy tries to break it down to the barest minimum. So the first step for you is to separate your needs and your wants. We put that in. So that puts you in the scale of preference, which is important before you go to that which is less. Of course, making a budget simply means you looking at your income, what comes in, the money that comes in, and your expense, the money that goes out on those things, in order for you to determine exactly how much you have coming and where you're spending it. As I said before, needs are necessitated by what those things that you cannot live without. What are those things that you cannot live without? Water, food, Rent, well, airtime is neither here nor there, but we put it there because now this has become a necessity, so to speak, and of course transportation, because you have to move from place to place. Wants are those things that you desire and wish, but you can do without them. Like, I mean, a pair of shoes. I mean, if you have one or two, you can decide based on your financial capability to sustain that for a while and plan how to purchase or now not to purchase it. More of that. So taking from that now, how can you, what are the importance of even the benefits of budgeting? It allows you, it helps you to make decisions about how to spend your money. When you budget and you know where your income is coming in and your expense, you also know when it is coming in and how it is going out. You also know what you're using it for. What it does for you essentially is that it enables you to make critical decisions of how to spend your money. It also enables you not to spend more than you earn or have. So when I know that I'm spending 50, I'm receiving 100,000 naira a month, I'm not going to go and start spending 150,000. That means I'm in debt of 50,000 or 200,000. So that is what budgeting helps you to do. In one first, it helps to plan how to spend your money. So ahead of time, you already put into place how to plan your money. Of course, it helps you distinguish between your needs and your wants. Your needs are those things that are very important and must have. Your wants are those things that you can do without. Of course, it helps you to write down how much you have and how much the things you need cost. Scale of preference. It helps you to put a proper scale of preference to your income and your expenses. Saving, we go straight to the next topic, which is saving. What is saving? Why is it important? Look, with the economic landscape that we are in today, Nigeria, where the dollar, which counts in certain to a huge level in terms of import and export, production is something that is not very. Saving is so critical for us, so that whatever it is that comes in, you understand how to keep it. Saving is the act of putting money aside for the rainy day. That is what saving is in clear terms. You can save for short term, buying clothes. You can also determine if that buying clothes is important for that short term. And then long-term goals. Going to invest. You want to buy, you want to build a house. You want to buy a car. Long term. Of course, aside that, sorry, there are different, and this is coming to the financial institutions. There are different types of accounts that the formal financial institution structure can assist you to save. I mean, current account. You need to deposit or withdraw your money often in your account. Do not forget that this comes with a certain cost that has to do with maintenance fee and all of that. Of course, fixed deposit account, that is a type of account where you fix money at a certain percentage or a rate agreed between you and your bankers, and at the end of month or the end of a quarter or the end of half of a year, depending on the moratorium period that you have negotiated and agreed with your banker, you get certain percentages that increase. Savings account, of course, basic savings account that enables you to put aside money and, of course, get a little bit percentage interest added to it at the end of a particular period of time. Okay, so these are very, very important tools, very, very important values that we wanted to put out there. How to create budget and stick to it. When you make a monthly budget, overestimate your expected cost. We cannot say this enough. So if the cost of the good is 10,000 naira, overestimate it to 20,000 or 30,000. The reason behind this is so that it allows you a buffer to play with. If by the time you have done that budget and you get a time of purchase, that thing has increased. Nowadays, with the whole way things are now, you see that things have become yo-yo. Before you have your bath and come out, the exchange rate has increased. So if you do a budget that cushions that effect, you have leftover funds, which can go into savings. That's essentially what we're saying. Save wisely. Choose the right type of saving method. So you can, some people do, what some people do is they put a direct debit. They give an instruction to their bank, direct debit. At the end of the month, take out 100,000 from my account. I do that so that it disciplines me. I know that that money is not my money. It goes straight to a savings. You have to choose the method that works for you as a person. Set financial goals to keep you on track. I mean, we all do that. I know that a lot of people here do that to financial goals. Are those goals, I mean, smart goals you need to achieve over time. And then you put a timeline to it and work towards it. Be ready for the unknown. I mean, the greatest way of being ready for the unknown is to ensure that you save and then save again. Nowadays, I have siblings who save and save again. We have partners, stakeholders, people who work with us, they save and save again. They just have one saving. That helps them to be ready for emergency funds. You can never be too ready. And so that's why they put a threshold of between 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. But in the country and in the world we live in today, it's far exceeds 3 to 6 months. Yeah, at least you're looking at 8 months, 9 months, 12 months to at least be able to cushion any such effect. Pay yourself first, which is essentially what we've just said. As it comes in, as your income comes in, straight debit between 10 to 12%, and watch your savings grow. These are the importance of budgeting. This just speaks to different kinds of accounts that are availed in the formal financial institution. You have the basic bank savings account, and we're all aware of this, but this just to state it properly because this is a financial literacy repost. In that basic bank savings account, some parents have gone ahead to have a kid savings account. So even before they have kids, they are saving for their kids. They're saving for their kids ahead of time. You know, some of them have even set a time frame. They made it into a trust. They said to themselves, okay, when that kid is 23, when that kid is 19, that's the only time they can have access. Meaning that they have removed themselves and they put themselves as a principal trustee. And then once it is 1920, once the child is 1923, you have access to it. Money market accounts is a form of investment. Very, very important. At a percentage rate agreed with your bank. They put it into a money market account that has to do with the stock exchange. It's a money market that works with our, and whatever interest you get from that, of course, is set aside for you. There are credit unions. There are online savings accounts that you have to be very careful about online savings accounts. Why we have put that there, ensure that the savings accounts that you work with are the licensed and approved banks. Very, very important. Do not just go and see some online savings account from somewhere and use it and say, oh, they said, oh, be sure that you're working with a licensed bank one. Of course, automatic savings plans, which we've spoken to, and the online debits and all of that. All of this are ways by which you can, get into the formal savings bank. What is investment? Very, very important. Let's just pick a bit very quickly to investment, because investment is something that we don't do. The truth of the case is that people hardly do that. I think a recent research last year spoke about there was a data that was taken and extrapolated for a specific area, and that particular area saw just about 13% out of a draw of over 57%, which is very low. And out of that 13%, only educated format of 7% understood what they were investing into. So let's look at what investment is. Investment is as an act of growing your money, increasing your money, increasing the money that comes in. It's a skill. In fact, some people say it's a blessing. It is so important. The joy that it gives me whenever I invest and I see an added amount, 1 naira, 2 naira, 3 naira, on top of that money that I already have, is indescribable. So it's done by regularly investing in various ways of investing. Stocks, some people just wait for the right stocks, and this is also something that you have to align with your financial institutions, your banks, and bonds. All right, understand what a bond means, the intricacy of a bond. All right, and then when to invest in a bond and when to liquidate. Of course, real estate also is also very important. Of course, by putting your money into investment, you get a higher return, and of course, make a financial plan. Be mindful of risk, so that you don't end up losing all your money, and then investment in treasury bills, shares, and all that. Of course, this is what it means. It means letting your money grow and compound over time. Find out what you want to invest in first before you do invest, so that you don't get to lose your money. We've said that before. And these are some of the institutions that regulate the industry in which we play formally. So Securities and Exchange Commission, sorry about that, they regulate the capital markets. Pension Commission, they regulate pension fund managers. The pension is that piece of money that is set aside for you on your behalf with agreement with your organization. Insurance, I mean, this National Insurance Commission of Nigeria regulates the insurance sector. on your behalf. And of course, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, they help to protect depositors' funds and ensure settlement of insured funds. So essentially, NDIC is essentially what it does for you. So whenever you hear that the bank is, and that's one of the reasons why we say that work with only licensed, CBN licensed financial institutions and banks. Work only with those. All right. And so that when your money, if anything happens, in a situation where something happens, something goes wrong, you can get back some of your money. I think it's just in a brief nutshell, kind of throws a bit of light on what financial literacy is, investment, savings, and a lot of those terminologies around that. And yes, before I go, one of the areas or one of the places that you can get a lot of financial literacy knowledge is the Sabi Money platform, which is out there, the public Sabi Money platform. It has a lot of modules where such information are downloaded. Of course, you can also get from online platforms. You see a lot of information from financial literacy. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Ihechukwu. Do you want to maybe spend just 2 minutes to, talk about SANEF, who SANEF is?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Yes, I thought I was going to do a bit of that. Yes. I'm always very, I'm Chief Marketing Communications Officer. So when you say talk, I will talk. But I'll just do 2 minutes very quickly. Yes. Thank you for that opportunity. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, SANEF Limited, it's called Shared Agent Network Expansion Facility. It's a company, it's an initiative of Central Bank of Nigeria. We are owned by the Deposit Money Banks, supported by licensed super agents and MMOs, mobile money operators. What we do essentially is we act as a enabler and coordinator of all stakeholders to widen and deepen financial access points and services in meeting financial inclusion goals. When we started off, we're given a target of 500,000 agents to achieve by December 2020. But by the end of 2020, we surpassed it by meeting by 561,000 agents. Our key objectives, agent expansion, to ensure that we have more touch points where financial services are provided, account opening at these touch points, products and services such as cash in, cash out, withdrawal of deposit, technology solutions that provide the opportunity for these agents to provide you those financial services, policy advocacy that creates an enable environment, stakeholder engagement, and of course, financial literacy training is very important. Provide a lot of training in collaboration with the Central Bank of Nigeria and other stakeholders, of course, and with LAPO MFB, we are key stakeholders. Vision, bring financial services to every Nigerian mission, clearly stated there. And I'm just trying to be quick and rehash. Of course, these are some of our stakeholders, super agents, and of course, all the banks also there. Of course, we have key stakeholders such as federal and state governments, started institutional backers, and all of that. Some of the traction that we've done, over 1.8 billion in the entire industry. These are some of the pictures, and let me just go straight to pictures. Forums that we have done over time where we create information about financial literacy, financial inclusion. We do agent forums all around all geopolitical regions. These are some of the consumer workshops we've done in collaboration with the Central Bank of Nigeria, and then, of course, certifications that come with our e-learning platform. These are some of the buntings, the branded items you see at every agent location that authenticates our agent location. So for you to be able to use it to do banking services. Don't forget that the agents provide services for the banks and financial institutions. So these certificates and the branded items provide you the ability to have trust to use that location. This is just a quick repost of the technology platform. This technology platform connects the bank's super agents, MMOs and MFBs who are on our platform, all right, to connect to the agents at various agent locations to provide bank and financial services to the various agents all around the 774 geopolitical regions and six geopolitical regions and 774 local governments in Nigeria. These are some of the pictures, activities we've done. This is the training that we've done over time, financial charities. We've trained over 110 and counting. We're preparing for the next one. It is our role to provide financial literacy training, financial inclusion training, agent banking training. Yeah, Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I actually wanted you to share that so people, our guests, also know who is speaking to them, really. I think you're, like you said, you're very strong in financial literacy, and that's why, we had invited Sanef to speak to us on some of these things. Thank you once again for sharing. If you agree with me, I mean, this is not just information for youths, the way we would stage and looking at the Global Money Week's agenda campaign is really financial inclusion, financial literacy for youth. But these are nuggets that, could even really impact a lot of other people. So, I mean, not to raise hand or anything, but some of us here have been burnt before, right? Some of us here have, whether it was the MMM period or it's just investing in something that you were not so sure about, some of us have been burnt before. And so this kind of, information and insight helps us to better understand where we're putting our money in. And I like that. For me, how I broke, your presentation is that there are hard risks, right, in terms of financial risk. But then there are also the soft aspects, which speaks to our behaviors, our lifestyle, right? And you can lose money just like that. This soft life thing, and you just keep spending. And that's why you really talked about budgeting and managing your money. So beyond the financial risk, the hard ones, scam, fraud, cybersecurity issues, there's also the soft side that speaks to your behavior, your attitude to money, right? How you use money, how you relate with money. And so it's important that we talk about savings, you talk about budgeting, really the 3 M's of money management, which is make, manage, and multiply. Right. So it's so important for everyone. And I'm really glad that you touched all of that whilst, going deep into financial literacy and, securing our funds. So thank you so much again.
Thank you very much.
So let me just check the chat if we have questions already coming in. I see, okay, there's a question, but there's also a hand raised. So I'll just call on just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she has dropped her hand. Okay, just a second. So let's go to the question then. All right, so Iyobosa is asking how much in terms of percentage can you save from your income using, Nigerian minimum wage as a case study? Well, I mean, I think that's just quite, it's such a real question. Conditions that we've found ourselves in Nigeria today, right? So can we, share some insight into how can you really save in this economy?
Yeah. When we come to saving, just as you said, they said that, and I'm going to go, I like to go, if you look at the way we did the presentation, we try to make it very minuscule, understandable base level. It is not easy to save. Let's not even deceive ourselves. Because say, for instance, minimum wage, for instance, is 30,000 naira. How do you save from 30,000 naira? How are you able to pay your rent at the end of the year? How are you able to feed your kids and then still send them to university? So one of the baselines I get to understand is that you need to save according to your strength. If your strength is 10%, be functional, be responsible about it. So if you're earning 30,000 naira and you decide that it is 10% of that 30,000 naira, and you can do that, just be disciplined with that. If your strength is 5%, whatever it is that you have decided that you want to discipline yourself, and this is very, very, very important because it's not easy to save, right? Some people say, you know what, I won't save for my salary, but I do some jobs on the side. It's not everybody who has that opportunity and ability to do that. That money I do on the side, I will save it. If that's your decision, even though it's a hard sell, then go ahead and do it. But when it comes to your income, you decide that it's 5%, 10%, be disciplined and religious about it. Make sure that you take it aside, you don't touch it. It is a personal decision. It's just that you need to save for the rainy day. So that when it rains, you have an umbrella over your head to cover you. They say money is a spirit, and that is the truth. It is a spirit.
Yeah.
In literal terms, if you understand what I mean.
Oh, yes, yes, I agree. But it's also important to state that in the current situation that we're in, you really cannot and should not rely on just one stream of income. It's so challenging,
Mm.
right? So some of this engagements and information is also for you to understand. I mean, how can you also, begin to look at multiple streams of income?
Yeah,
Even though you work and let's say you're earning the minimum wage, what else could you do? And that's when you talked about vocation. What are
yes,
you, what's your skill? What are you good at? And now, I mean, beyond just tailoring and the common ones that would usually talk about, I mean, there are a lot of other skills, whether it's the tech skills or are you good with data? Could you be a virtual assistant? There's so many things that you can now do to, get, more streams of income coming so you can save because savings is not just for the rainy days, also to help you multiply your funds and
absolutely.
that can make you even stronger as you go on. You wanted to add something
Absolutely.
to.
Yes, I do. In fact, you're getting me fired up because the internet, we have we have access to the internet and we don't use it a lot of times. There are people who in Nigeria, they do like they're doing jobs online.
Yeah,
They are able to do jobs online and earn in Forex. And it's happening. You just need to have greater, and that's part of financial literacy. You need to
exactly.
go and understand and read about it. And there are sites to that direct you to the places where you can get online jobs that enable you to make money on the side. And that comes to exactly what you said. And it's happening,
Mhm.
it's real. It's
It
real.
is.
Yeah, so this has also ways for them to improve their financial literacy senses.
All right, thank you. So whilst we're expecting more questions, if you have questions, you can drop on the chat or you raise your hand and we'll let you actually ask directly. I have a question as to, some of the right ways to invest. And there's something you mentioned to say, don't put your money into what you do not understand,
Mm,
right? And sometimes investment is really putting your money somewhere to, multiply, to grow. Even when people the buzz, crypto, there's buying shares and stock. How what then are the right vehicles to invest? Because if you also just follow the bandwagon and you want to now buy shares, don't understand that it also can backfire. So
yeah,
what is your advice to a lot of people that have some money, want to invest, want to multiply, but don't know where to start from? And then
yeah.
also, can you start even so if I say I have just 10,000 naira saved, what kind of investments can I even begin with such amount? So if you can just shed more light.
Okay, thank you thank you very much. And first things first, we always say that when you want to invest, you need to speak to your financial institution or financial advisor. It's very important. Now, they say local knowledge is the best knowledge, but guess what? Sometimes local knowledge can put you into trouble. I do it. I speak to my financial, and I have friends who are, sometimes it may not be that public person, that person who is an official. You have people who work in banks that you can speak to say, oh, okay, so this money market that you're talking about, is it quarterly? Is it monthly? Can I put in my money this month and get that small percentage of 17% spread over a year and get that percentage for the month? Those are the kind of things that you need to speak about. Now, back to the areas that you can invest. There are so many areas that you can invest, but we will always advocate for you to invest in the officially licensed banking institution, financial institution and banks. I mean, you need to be able to understand that even your savings account, in the matter of speaking, just putting aside that money in your savings account gives you some level of interest. Small, but yes, it does give you some level of interest. There are some people who have come together and they call it a susu, but they are identified amongst themselves. Why that is outside of advisory of a financial institution, but there are people who their fates have carried them to do that, and at the end of the month, they have an interest, a little thing on top of it. But we always advocate for stock market, for you to also look at the money market, because these are the areas where you are sure that your money is under regulatory agencies that protect that fund from being lost. So stock market, money market, bonds, and you first need to have a lot of information about such things as bonds and all of that. Those are generally aside savings. that you get to get a bit of percentage when you keep your money for a certain period of time. That helps you to save. But most importantly, your financial advisor at that financial institution will guide you because they have the best knowledge about how such investments can be done. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Do we have questions? I don't see any, but if you do, please leave it in the chat. I'm hoping that Ihechukwu, you can stay maybe till the end, hopefully. And then if there are questions, that we can also come back and then maybe share last words at the end. We would appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's been really insightful for us, and I hope it's the same for our guests who are joining as well. Really, financial literacy is important to get this knowledge because, like we say, sometimes you're just one information away from the solution to a problem, right? So as much as possible, join conversations like this, join webinars, get insight into how you can make more money, how you can manage what you have, and then how you can multiply what you have. Thank you so much again for your contributions and the presentation.
Thank you so much, and it was great being here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. All right, so our second speaker is already on the call. Hi, Waimi, can you hear me? Waimi, can you hear me? Oh. I think the connection is not great because you're breaking. Hi, Waimi, if you can hear us or if you can hear me, I think the connection is breaking a bit. So maybe you want to connect back. Okay. So whilst she rejoins the call in a bit, so maybe you want to just a second connect back.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she has dropped her hand. Okay. So whilst she rejoins the call in a bit, so maybe you want to just a second connect just a second. So let's go to the question then. Apologies for that. I think it's a technical issue. All right, so whilst we wait for the second speaker to join, does anyone want to share, I mean, what stood out for you during the previous session? What stood out to you? What new insight have you gained? And I mean, what would you do differently, going forward? Does anyone want to share? If you want to share, you could just raise your hand or drop something in the chat. That would be good. Does anybody want to share something insightful, something that stood out to you that would help you? Or does anyone even want to share how are you managing in this, where I say economy? I mean, how are you managing? How are you making more money? How are you managing your funds? How are you planning to multiply? Does anyone want to share? Guys, it's a conversation, so let's have some chat whilst we wait for our second speaker. I think there's a technical challenge.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, hello. Is anybody trying to speak? You can raise your hand so I'll call you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Joy from Barcelona.
Okay, hello, Joy.
I've really benefited from this training. The first speaker actually did a great job in the presentation. And I actually learned that, savings is a deliberate and conscious act, which is very necessary, very expedient, because we see that we have numerous needs and the economy is really not helping out. But when you look at the needs and then the financial, your income, and you discover that it's not measurable, it's not comparable at all. So in that light, practicing the act of deliberate savings, not minding the need. As you earn, you just close your eyes to the need and just say, this amount I must save is something that one has learned, and I make up my mind to be deliberate on that, and because actually, just as he said, savings is could also bail you out in the future. You don't know what comes up, an emergency situation. You have something to fall back on instead of just spending everything and all that. But there's another thing that was mentioned which I really want us. I would like to hear to get more light on that, because we discover most of us that are working, sometimes the work demand is so high. It takes all of your time, all of you. You have some skills, you have some abilities, some things that you could do to have extra income, but the time is the issue, the time constraint, because of your commitment to your job and the demand to your job. So you see how to balance it to get extra income is somehow. So that is why you mentioned something about getting extra income, putting your skills to practice so that you can get more income and then invest your money and so on. But it's not easy for those working. It's not really easy for those working. I don't know if you can throw more light on that and all that. But that is the challenge that I see. Working and being able to do something else to aid you get more money. Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me now, Joy?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I apologies. Yes, my connection went out as well. Technology. Yes, but I heard your question, and I think that it's such an important question. That's one of the reasons why I had also added it, to say it's quite challenging, to want to save in an economy where everything, in terms of inflation, everything is so expensive. So if you were spending 50,000 on, say, food in a month, now you're having to spend, almost double of that. And whilst expenses have, doubled and tripled, revenue is still the same in terms of those who are working. You probably either haven't been promoted, or I mean, there's nothing extra to the income. So it's very difficult to save. But again, that's one of the things that we try to communicate, that if it's a habit you have, cultivated for a while, even when it's very tough, because it's a habit, something that you would default do on a default, you will still be able to save, just maybe not as much as before. But in speaking on how you can now also improve your revenue, a few things that can happen. I understand that as employees, you really want to ensure that you're focused on the job, you're giving your best, and there's no distraction. But there are other ways you could, bring your skill to use as well, even whilst you're still giving 100% to your job. So when we talk about vocation skills, for example, there are people who have built themselves up to an extent, to a stage where, I mean, they're able to do courses, right? So, for example, you have identified that you're good in a subject matter. It could be, say, leadership, right? You could build yourself up that you begin to create content around leadership, either, virtual courses that you could begin to sell. And, you could begin to organize, webinars and programs, and, Hello, hi everyone. Sincere apologies for the network issues we're having, but I'm just going to speak from my colleague's system now. I hope you can hear me. I was just trying to wrap up on my response to Joy's question, and I hope I've been able to provide some insight into what you can also do even when you're a 9 to 5 a 9 to 5 hour, a few things that you can begin to consider, right? So your vocation skills, you can begin to monetize, some of your experiences, share your experience. If you are good in a subject matter, you can begin to, create contents, materials that can be sold. You can have. So those are just a few things that may not really affect, your job. And then there are other ventures you could get into. And if you also have a bit of funds, you can also begin to look at small investments that will yield returns for you even whilst you're still working. I hope I've been able to respond to that. But thank you so much, Joy, for that very real question on call. All right, so our second speaker is back. Our second speaker is back. Waimi, please confirm that you can hear me. You're muted. If you need to unmute. Hello, Waimi. Okay, whilst we try to reach her, to get her to come on board, she was supposed to really share some of the strategies to further manage our funds, strategies for responsible money management. The few we have mentioned thus far, but with her work experience, we would really like to hear her share more on responsible money management. And that also, would address some of the financial risks and how we can protect our money. So please just a few seconds, let's try to reach her. Thank you.
Okay, I think I managed to. Can you hear me? Good morning again, everyone.
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Fantastic. Network is trying to play games, but good morning. So sorry.
It's fine. We're also having some of those challenges here. So
yeah, I actually felt better when I saw that. I'm like, okay, it's not just me. Good morning, everyone. I wish this was a physical event. I was listening to Mr. Ihechukwu from SANEF, and I think he really just hit the nail on a lot of things. To start my conversation, I actually just wanted to add a bit to the question, the response to the question that Joy asked. And one of the things that I've seen that also helps is when you're considering other sources of income for people who have proper 9-to-5s. One of the things that I've seen that helps is that you want to be able to create a service that other people need that is close to what you're already doing so that you do not feel overstretched, right? Something that comes to you naturally. One could be talk. If you have a nice voice, maybe you want to throw in being a compare for events and MC host during the weekends or when you have time. For someone who works in the financial services sector, maybe you want to consider being a small business financial advisor, or you create templates that small businesses can use, templates on budgeting, templates on forecasting, right? Something that is easy for people to use. One of the things that I know that really works for people in the corporate space, for people who have 9-to-5s, is if you're able to create a solution for people that does not require your physical presence, and that's why technology is great, right? So there are opportunities or there are platforms where you can upload a document. People go pay for that document. The money comes to your account very easily. The people get the product that they bought from you in their inboxes, and there's really no interaction between you and them. You're making your money clean and clear, right? So maybe you want, but it takes a lot of work. And I say a lot of work because you need to sit down and actually do a proper audit of your skills, a proper audit of your experiences, of your passion, and then do an audit of what the sector needs. The good thing is you can be of service to a lot of SMEs because there are a lot of services that SMEs need that they can't necessarily afford bigger organizations to provide for. What kind of opportunities do I have in my hands that I can give to people that is not very far from what I'm doing in a 9-to-5, and can come out of me very easily, right? So that's one. And I think the other bit, when he talks about savings, and there's a thing where we talk about savings to invest, right? And one of the things that I've seen that really scares a lot of people when they talk about savings, when they talk about investment, they feel like you have to have 1 million naira, you have to have 5 million naira before you start. But the thing is, you can actually start small. And just like he said, it comes from, and I think Dorcas, you also hit on this as well, it actually comes from a place of discipline. So discipline does not necessarily mean that every month you must save 10,000 naira. If you cannot afford it, we're in Nigeria right now, we know how things are happening. But discipline comes from the fact that even if I cannot save 10,000 naira this month, I can save 5,000 naira. Because if you get to the point where you lose that discipline of daily saving or monthly saving, it becomes a thing. And you're like, oh, I didn't save, oh, next month. And before you know it, you've actually gone off, completely. So my conversation will really start around financial planning and setting financial goals. And really what this means is if I want to buy a car, right? I'm not a finance person in the sense, so I may not be able to use the terms that Mr. Ihechuku used. But please, let's just I'm going to have like a proper, real conversation. So you want to have 5 million naira, right? And then you sit down and you say that your salary every month is 500,000. How long is it going to take you to save 5 million naira? Do you want to go radical and say you are saving towards your car? You're going to be saving 10% of your salary, 20% of your salary. How much does that come to? How many years will it take you to save to be able to buy that, right? So in simple terms, setting financial goals is knowing what you want to do, how much it costs, and how do you create a roadmap from your current earnings. One, how do you create a roadmap to bring in more earnings to ensure that you're able to raise money to do whatever it is that you want to do? So one of the first things that we will say when we're talking about setting financial goals is, of course, the SMART method of setting goals. You have to be specific. How much exactly do I need? It has to be measurable. So in terms of, the extent to what I need to save, what exactly do I need to bring in? Time bound. One of the things mistakes that I see that a lot of people do is you just randomly say, oh, I'm going to buy a car, or oh, I'm going to buy a new phone, or oh, I'm going to buy whatever it is, but you do not set clear goals on how much you need and how much you need to save. Financial planning also means that if there's something that you need to do and you do not currently have the means to do it, which is why I totally enjoyed Joy's question. How do you think through the possibilities of bringing extra income without running mad, in a sense, right? Because in the way things are in Nigeria right now, you almost cannot plan. So even if you say you have 3 sources of income, I can bet you that those sources of income that were enough last year are not enough right now. But your financial goals from last year may not have changed as at now. So how do you want to rethink through your financial goals? Some of us came into this year saying we're going to having 10 million naira in savings by the end of the month. That seemed like it was doable in January, but with everything that has happened, you're not even seeing 1 million in your account right now. You have to do it. You need to sit down and rethink around that and readjust it. Is what I'm bringing in okay? What are the other things that I can do? And now there's so many other ways to make money online. I think Dorcas, spoke about it as well. What are some of the things that you can do? What are some of the services that you can provide? That don't necessarily mean that you have to be there. And this doesn't mean that everybody must be an entrepreneur, right? You mustn't start thinking of it in terms of actually starting a business, because when you start thinking about that, you then start thinking about the amount of money that actually has to go into that. So we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about how do you want to bring in more money into what you currently have, right? So it's extremely important to set financial goals in that you think of what you do to get to where you want to go and set clear. Another thing that we also want to think about is debt management. Is very important because especially with the way things are in Nigeria, you took a loan last year and it felt like with the projections that you could make, or with the projections that you made last year, you would have been able to pay off that loan by June this year. And then unfortunately, everything is happening, dollar is changing, and you're clearly looking at it and saying that, okay, I can't do this anymore. So one of the first things that we need to think about when we think through debt management is really trying to understand the current debt situation, the interest rates. Can you go back and try to renegotiate? Is there a possibility of that, right? And then to the other things. So you don't want to leave all of your debt. One is more demanding for me. And then is there a possibility of rethinking through my payment method? What do I need to do? Because if you leave debts untendered, in the long run, it will not be to your benefits in any way. And another thing that I've seen, and which is one of the things, especially, unfortunately, especially women do, is you are trying to take a debt to pay up a debt. That's one of the most dangerous things that you can do. Right? Especially because sometimes out of frustration, out of just pure sheer desperation, you go out and you think through your debt management. How are you trying to pay back my terms of payment? I mean, one rule that I live by for 5 months or for 6 months, for a year, calculated this person that gave me the money will not agree. Go and try, right? Don't just sit down and wallow in fear or wallow in desperation. Go and try. There's never any time that negotiation doesn't work. You may not get what you want, but at least you tried, right? So when you're thinking through debt management, it's always great to understand is a thing that anyone, just being in debt is a thing that anyone really wants to be in. So as much as possible, please try, to service your debts at the right time. And I know this is one of the things that entrepreneurs, when you take loans, I mean, there's also that thing in the minds of a lot of people that when you take loans, you can never pay back. Sometimes is life, you clearly, because you have no idea what you're taking that loan for, you think that money is your problem, be, talking through emergency funds these days. An emergency fund is different from a savings account, right? An emergency fund is that one that you like. And unfortunately, we will see quite a number of people getting into their emergency funds in these days. But how do you want to set an emergency fund? Sometimes what people do, of what I've seen that has worked for, not just myself, but people around me. And I'm speaking from personal experiences because I'm not necessarily, like I said at the beginning, I'm not necessarily a financial person like Mr. Hechuku. But what I've seen that has worked for me is having a particular percentage of the savings that I put aside every month that goes into an emergency fund. The protection around an emergency fund for what I've done, or for people around me, is you have no access to that account unless there are certain criteria that you must meet, right? And it also means that, one of the things that I've seen that has helped with this is, let it be one of those accounts that you have no ATM cards to, you have no internet banking access to. If you have to draw money out from this account, you have to go to the bank. And there are certain things, instructions that you must put, with the bank to be able to access that money. So it's extremely important while you're setting investment goals, while you're setting savings account goals, you're also setting emergency fund planning. And emergency fund is important because sometimes, God forbid, you never know, business can go bad. You can lose your job, right? And at every point in time, you want to be able to have at least 3 months of your salary saved up or put aside in your emergency fund. So you need to think through, what am I earning? And I know it can be hard, right? We're talking about all of this put aside, when we don't even have enough to use for our daily lives. But even if it is 1 naira, see, one of the things that I've learned is, if you save, if you don't save, no matter the amount, time will pass. 6 months will still pass. 10 months will still pass. And if you didn't save, you will still get to the end of that 10 months with 0. Even if you saved 1 naira every month, you will get to the end of with 10 months with 10 naira extra. So while we're thinking through and putting any money aside, you want to be able to understand that it is a discipline, it is a mindset, right? Savings, investments, it really starts with the mind. It really, really, really starts with the mind. You have to agree or think through what goals you have for yourself and how are you setting those goals. If you are not one who is bothered, right? However it be, we'll go work on those kind of people. Good luck. However, if you know that you are set, you need to be able to not necessarily be in control, because that's like a strong word, but really be in control of your finances, really being on control of your life in terms of how you want to be able to take care of yourself and the people around you financially. Then thinking through what I'm setting aside every month, no matter how little, is always going to make a difference to you. Like I was saying, if you get to the end of 10 months, you'll either be 10 naira richer or you'll be 10 naira poorer. And you'll find out that 10 naira, you will not even be able to trace what you did with it from in the last 10 months if you don't actually keep that money aside, right? So setting up emergency funds is extremely important. Please, even if it's 1%, just keep putting aside. As money grows, you will begin to grow your emergency fund as well as growing to invest account is completely different from your emergency fund account. Like I said, emergency fund is something you will not touch unless there's really dire situations that require you to go there. It's really that money that protects you. It's really that money that protects your family. It's really that money that protects your business. So, some of these things that we're talking about, it's not necessarily personal use alone, right? I had one experience where my store literally burnt down. And I was woken up almost 12 midnight with cancer. And the good thing is LAPO has an organization that provides that, right? So I personally have experienced it. And I will say it just doesn't happen. And if you just don't get your goods or something aside that can support you and your business at the same time, well, not necessarily at the same time, but support your business, support you, right? So we're thinking through people who are running businesses for their businesses, and we're thinking through you as an individual and actually making and securing yourself, against financial risk. And I think that we really just think through also into planning for the future. How do you financially plan to protect your future, right? And I think it's really just in the same conversations. It's not about how much, it is about just putting something there, right? And you see that when it becomes a culture, you then start pushing, you start pushing the barriers a bit. Okay, you saved 10,000 last year throughout the year. You're like, okay, maybe this year, let me try and do 15. Maybe let me try and do 30, right? And you're increasing that because you don't want to be retired and you're still looking for money to do X, Y, Z. Or you decide that your children, okay, you have 2 kids, and in 12 years, for one of them, they have to go into the university. What university do you want them to go to? Even if you don't know the exact university right now, what kind of university do you want them to go to? You want them to go to private school? Do you want them to go to state universities or federal universities? Do you want them to go to school abroad? You need to start thinking of that now. You have to start planning towards that now. What kind of school? What's the average fee a year in that school? How do I plan towards that, right? If I'm going to be retiring in the next 20 years, how am I planning to ensure that when I'm retired, even with the fact that there's pension, but you know that sometimes pension doesn't even come when you need it, even with the fact that there's pension, how am I planning financially for myself to be able to ensure that when I retire in 20 years, I have enough money to take care of myself and to take care of my kids? Are you thinking life insurance? Not for yourself, I mean, for the benefit of your family, for your children. I know that unfortunately there are times where situations happen and the family member, one of the parents or something passes on, and the rest of the family have no idea, no clue what to do going forward because the breadwinner of the family has gone. As a breadwinner, have you put in structures in place to ensure that whether you're there or not, your family members are taken care of? So are you thinking life insurance? Are you thinking education insurance? There is education insurance. Are you thinking health insurance for your family? I think one of the things that we really need to do in Nigeria is speak more around insurance, because a lot of people do not understand the benefits of insurance. Health, education, life, car, regardless of what it is. The only reason that a lot of people have car insurance in Nigeria is because road safety will ask you for it. If that was not an option, not a lot of people would do car insurance. We don't understand the benefits of insurance, and it's one of the conversations we need to keep, talking about more, because it's important that it's part of one of those things where you have to really just secure yourself, and not just securing yourself, but securing your family. My daughter will be going to university in a couple of years. I started education insurance when she was in primary school towards university, right? Because I realized that there's a particular kind of school that I want her to go, and if I don't start now, it might be difficult to be able to send her to that school at that time. So when we're thinking through long-term financial planning, you have to know what it is you want to do, the number of years, that thing will be ripe for you to do, and what you need to go there. Are you going to do insurance? Are you going to do savings? Are you going to do investments? What is the return on investment? How do you calculate it? How will all of that get to the point where it then becomes a compounding amount for you at the end of the time when you need it to be able to take advantage of whatever it is that you want to do? So we need to start thinking ahead, even as we're saving, as we're investing. Some people just like to see money sitting in their account. It makes them feel good. I used to be like that. I just want to be seeing the money grow in SHA. Meanwhile, it's just sitting there in the savings account. The bank is making money, on your money. You are not making money for yourself. Maybe savings, once in a while, they'll give you something, but they'll take all of that back. Lapo, I'm really sorry, but sometimes that money goes back through charges, and all of that. But you want to think through, instead of just sitting and looking at your money grow in your account, like Dorcas said, how do you make, how was that, the 3 M's, make, manage, multiply. How do you make that money? How do you manage that money? And how do you multiply it? Money does not multiply by just sitting in your savings account. You save to invest. You save to, do something. So it's extremely important as we're thinking around financial planning for the future. You want to start thinking around long-term goals and how do you want to put money towards that. I think as I wrap up, I really just like to talk about some of the biases that come from thinking through finance, right? Because of sometimes, you cannot even put a stop to the amount of financial responsibility that a lot of us have. It's even if it's not you directly, you have family members, you have friends, you have relatives. And so you get to the point where it feels like, oh, you have to keep hoarding. You have to keep hoarding. But just like I said, keeping money doesn't necessarily mean that it will grow money for you, right? You need to understand, which is why, webinars like this are great, so that you understand what money is and what money can do for you. There are a lot of biases that we carry around, unfortunately, which really just undermine your long-term financial, success, because you're just thinking now. But we need to be able to shift our minds into thinking for the long term, into thinking what money can do for me, how I can multiply this money for it to be able to serve me and serve me better. So we just need to be careful of the biases. Sometimes it's in the environments in which we grew up. Sometimes it's in maybe the workplace that we're in, that people just begin to say things about money, savings, and it becomes a lifestyle. For lack of a better word, it becomes a lifestyle for you. So we need to be very careful that we're recognizing and understanding these biases, because this is really the first place that it starts. What is my relationship with money? What do I give it freely? Do I make it freely? Do I feel like I must hoard? We need to be very intentional about, because money actually starts from the mind. It really, really, really starts from the mind, which also brings us back to savings, investments, and all of that. It's the way you interact with it. Do you understand that you can release money to make more money? Or do you feel like you need to constantly hold this money down, because if you release it, it might not come back to you, right? So how do you ensure that your mindset is placed properly? And this starts with platforms like this, right? You're going out and you're seeking the right kind of information. I personally learned so much from the first speaker. I know one of the things that, a lot of people deal with will be not understanding the phishing emails, how to identify all of that. Before you know, you go and click on a link, account, and take all of your money. So those are things that we need to be mindful of. And if we don't get onto sessions like this, or webinars like this, your mindset will not change, because you'll be stuck in what, especially around money, lots of the things we know are wrong. So these days, I'm happy that there are conversations like this that are really just helping to begin to change people's mindset and change people's understanding of money and how you can use money, and really just get money to work for you. So I think, talking through some of these things is really just getting to the point where we understand, financial management and how we can use businesses to achieve financial security, and really just realizing our long-term financial aspirations.
Thank you so much, Waymi. First of all, just to thank you for even, joining and sharing with us, because I know you have a very busy schedule. Thank you for joining, and grateful that the network finally allowed us hear you, because you've shared really deep insights already. Thank you so much. And because of the issues we had earlier on, I actually didn't introduce Waymi. So I'd like to do that briefly, because this is a powerhouse that we must know. So again, Waymi is, like I said earlier, that she's a friend of the house. She's a partner. But beyond that, she just recently also became the director. And just, congratulations on that engagement. Thank you. Congratulations on your new role. She's the Director General for Women Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture. She is a highly experienced business leader with, almost over 15 years of progressive multi-sectoral expertise, spanning oil and gas, impacting investment, and then also a focus on gender, international development, nonprofit management, financial inclusion, and entrepreneurship. How do we know when you meet? It's really from her work with Wevo Foundation, which is a community-based platform that supports female breadwinners. And that's how we started this relationship, me and Wevo and Lapo Microfinance Bank. But it's such a pleasure to have you on the call and for all you have shared. Deep, deep insights. Thank you so much. So we'll just have a bit of conversation as well. Like you mentioned, it's good. I say this, money conversations are very important. There are a lot of things that we do not know. A lot of ways that people make, manage, and multiply money that we do not know. And it's not wrong not to know, but I think it would be your responsibility to get knowledge. And being in platforms like this helps you to get insights into how you will begin to build yourself financially and also become financially independent. A few things that have stood out for me from your conversation is this, setting financial goals, right? When you talk about, strategy, plans, it's so important to even know where you want to go to. And then you begin to then say, how do I get there? Right. So you've mentioned a couple of things that we must do to set our financial goals, to plan well. First of all, you've talked about retirement. Not many people don't think about retirement, especially the youths. You think you still have all of the time and you're young, but planning even from now about retirement is something that we should all begin to do. You mentioned insurance. It's a big topic that we still need to discuss more in Nigeria, the importance of insurance. I like the example you gave. You're already planning, you already have an education insurance for your child. Same thing here for our children, 3 of them, right from now. I mean, they're just toddlers. I think the eldest is still about 8, but we already have the education insurance account for them, planning for their future, their education. So that's also very critical. And then you talked about emergency funds, right? Which is savings. So I know there was a comment you made there. As LAPO, though we talk about savings, but we're also very clear that savings is not the end game. It's a means to an end for us. Again, while you save, it's important to have some liquidity. So it would be good to say, what, I'm just going to keep a certain amount, keeping it there, because emergencies could happen and you actually need liquid cash to resolve those issues. If you don't have any type of savings, I mean, you're going to be in serious trouble. But beyond that, you can also open other savings account that helps you save to invest, save for something that would help you multiply the money. So at LAPO, we understand that and we preach it as well. We have different savings products that allows you to do those things. Save even for your child, save for your business, and then just have a normal savings account as it were. But emergency funds and savings is something that we must learn. She said it's a discipline, right? And you have to discipline yourself. You have to do it now. You have to be committed, and you have to cultivate the habits of saving to invest as well. So I just wanted to add that as well. But a lot of things you've touched, and I mean, if we keep talking about this, we could be here for hours, because these are my conversations there. For me. So thank you again for sharing. So guests or our guests on the call, if you do have questions, if you even have a comment, you want to add to the conversation, we're very open to hear your perspective about the discussions thus far, from the first session talking about financial literacy and securing your funds, to this session that has gone in depth into money management, responsible money management, debt management, financial planning, and all of that. It would be good to hear your perspective and insights as well. So if you want to speak, just raise your hand and we'll give you the floor to speak. But if you also have questions, are there questions for Wayne around the areas she has mentioned? Are there specific questions as to even insurance or retirement? Do you want to know more about retirement? What can we do around that? I mean, you can put your questions in the chat right about now. So thank you again, Wayne. Really good conversation.
Thank you, Dorcas.
Are there questions or contributions? Do you want to make a contribution? Okay. All right. While to wait for that, Wayne, do you have any maybe additional words for us? Just kind of tying this together, with securing your money, right? Protecting your money, because that's also the theme for the Global Money Week 2024. Protecting your money. Are there insights around that you also want to share?
I think Mr. Ihechukwu, I think, really hit the nail on all of those things. Protect your account, protect your details. Don't do things like MMM. Protect your money. You know, I think for me, it's just being smart with making financial decisions. Financial management can be too good to be true. Once it is too good to be true around money, then indeed it is too good to be true. So I think it's always kind of agri technology thing, really a thing, and people were putting money, into a cassava organization. Okay, let's actually invest in this thing and see. We reached out to them. They sent an email. One of the organizations that they put as one of the financial institutions that were backing them. My friend knew someone there. So we're like, okay, let's actually call this person and check if they're really backing this organization. And it turned out that they were not. This organization just had an account with that bank. They were not backing this.
Wow.
And because of that information, we decided not to invest in it. So these are the kind of things you need to check and be double sure before you put your money into anything. Like I said, if it's too good.
Okay, I think I don't know if I lost you or if you have concluded that statement, but I can't hear you. But yes, if it's too good to be true, it is definitely too good to be true. So we need to know what we're doing, get the right information, and then put your money where it's safe and where it can grow. One of the safe places to put it, like Ihechukwu had said, is licensed financial institutions, right? Licensed by the CBN, also insured by NDIC. Those are, safe places to keep your funds, but get knowledge before you invest so you don't lose your money. This money, it's not easy to come by. So please ensure that you're securing your funds. So Ihechukwu, I see you're still on the call. Thank you so much for being here with us. Do you have any last words? Do you want to also, add to the conversation also from what Wayini had shared?
Thank you very much. Yes, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Iwayemi really delved deep, and I kind of like the slant around insurance that she spoke to. We don't insure enough. In fact, nowadays, and I understand the economic exigencies around the nation, but the truth of the case is that insurance is so crucial that we need to look at these areas. Not too long ago, around where I stay, somebody's house got burnt, and it turns out that he did insure the house. Yeah, so it turns out that he did insure the house. And for some of us, incidentally and shockingly, we're hearing that this works. But guess what? It works. Housing insurance works. He insured the house, and the insurance company are going to come in, evaluate it, look at the source of the fire and check things out, and then that helps a lot. So I mean, I like that slant that she brought in, because very, very important. I mean, for me, as I said before, we need to look at in terms of when we have to, because people are thinking, okay, so we have this money, how do we multiply it? I will always continue to say that the best ways to diversify your portfolio is to seek conversation, seek delicate education from your financial institutions and your banks. We cannot repeat it enough. Stock market investments, crucial, real estate investments, advisories come through come through our financial institutions. Very important too. Mutual funds and and exchange traded funds also very important. Bonds and fixed income investment. They seem high sounding, but guess what? In that high sounding format in which they sing, they are very important and they can save you from a lot of loss. So in whatever you do, while you budget, you save, also ensure that in deciding to multiply, you also seek to do that in the legally and best identified manner. There are people who also do peer-to-peer lending, but a lot of these things also come from discussing with your financial institution, and that helps a lot to help you save and budget and in deepen your financial literacy. Yes, maybe as a fine repost, learning is never outdated. You can never stop learning. We must always seek to expand our knowledge about financial literacy, financial inclusion. Always seek to learn more, and we will never go wrong with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right. As we bring the session to an end, let me just check if we have questions. And I actually see that Oluremi, you have a question and your hand is also up. So if you can just unmute and ask the question, that would be good. Hello, Oluremi.
Oh, hello. Thank you. So
Okay.
I think I have a network challenge. Thank you so much. And I want to thank our guest speakers, Waimi and Ikechukwu, and as well as yourself, Dorcas, for giving us this wonderful insights. I've learned so much, took copious notes, and start,
All right.
I
Thank
don't know if you
you.
can hear my question. My question is that for retirement.
All right. Yeah. So I see it in the chat. It says, what age does one, start planning for retirement? Waimi, do you want to respond to that?
Start now. The earlier, the better. The earlier, the better. The earlier you start, the more you can gather up. You don't want to start planning for retirement at 50. So you don't want to start planning to retire at 55 when you're 50, right? The amount of money that you'll be able to gather through at that time will be completely, you can't even compare. Right. So now that we know, just the earlier you start, for me, the better. Those people who started planning for retirement at 20, at 30, at 40, at 50, at 60 will have completely different amounts in their accounts when it's time to actually retire. So please, the earlier you can start, it's always best.
All right, thank you. And how can you start? What are the few, maybe 1, 2, 3 things that you could do in terms of planning for retirement?
Okay. I think it will come with a bit of forecasting. When you retire, where do you want to live? Do you want to be in Lagos where you currently are? You want to move back to your village? If you want to move back to your village, you have a house in your village. If you want to remain in Lagos, you have a house in Lagos, right? You don't want to be retired and be paying rent. So you need to start thinking around that. Do I want to buy a house or do I want to build a house? What is that going to cost me? These are things you need to start thinking around them. So thinking around your livelihood is one thing, where you're going to live. And then you need to start thinking around the money that you will actually use to take care of yourself at the point. If now you're currently living on 300,000, you need to think through, what is inflation going to be in 20 years when I retire? How much do I want to be living on, at that time? And then you need to start putting money away, small. Like I said, if you don't put away, retirement age will still come. So it's best that you start with however little that you have. You may not be able to save the entire thing because life will happen, but it's always best that you always have that mindset at the back of your mind that you're saving towards retirement. For those of us for people who are working and have pension opportunities, that's great. But what do you want to do? Will the money that's coming from pension, will it be able to take care of you and your needs at the time? Or do you want to think through putting something aside that will also augment what your pension is going to be bringing in? So it's really a long-term thought process that you need to put through, and then just begin to put something aside towards that, as well. I think for me, when I think through that, I'm also, like we talked about insurance, I don't want to get to when it's time to pay my daughter's university and have to cough out all of that money by myself at the time, so how are we thinking through? So there's quite a number of things that you will actually think through that comes together, but it actually starts from taking stock of where you are, how many years to get to retirement. Somebody who started saving at 20, it's really just taking stock of where you are, where you want to go, and what you need to put aside to be able to make it happen.
Very true. Very true. You don't want to get to that age and be surprised, because certain people at maybe 58, it starts to dawn on them that you're just two years away from retirement, and then the question is, what am I going to do? Yes, very true. I mean,
Exactly.
and thoughts like, when you retire, do you want to go into consultation and all of that? So a lot of things that you need to think about.
Yeah.
And start now. In fact, some people right now, they know that they want to retire at 45 or 50. It's a plan, right? And then they're already working towards that plan. I like when you talked about, the house, right? So in real estate investment is also something to really look at. So part of investment, real estate. It's good to already have those plans. So thank you for sharing. Great. We've come to the end of the session, of the webinar, really, and the two sessions. Again, I still just want to say thank you to our guest speakers for staying to the end and for sharing your wealth of knowledge and experience with us. But just to wrap up with, how does LAPO, come into all of this conversation? How can we help? Or how can we go with you on your journey towards financial independence? First of all, we're a financial institution that is, dedicated to, fostering financial literacy, providing products and services that can help you grow financially. So a few of the products we've talked about, the fact that we have savings products. One of our flagship savings product is the Express Savings, which is very easy to open, both in branch and on our digital channels. Very easy, minimum KYC requirements, and then that just helps you to start saving. But if you want to also be specific, we have a My Pikin and I savings account that helps you save for your child. I remember I started saving for my unborn children years before I had children. I just started putting something there for them. And you can say at 8, they can claim that they are millionaires. But again, that's just, what it is. So, and it's gradual. It took years. I think I've had that account for over 10 years. And, you just see that something's going there every time, and it's with LAPO. So we have that. We also have a few other savings products that allows you to have a savings plan, either a silver, a diamond, or a gold plan, based on your capacity, really. So in terms of savings, we have those. We also obviously give loans. So we have loan products that help support your business and also as an individual. If you're an entrepreneur, we have those loans for businesses, but also even as a direct consumer. We have some consumer loan products. We have loan products for civil servants as well, just specific for the public sector colleagues and all of that. We also would facilitate insurance, access to insurance, because we're in partnership with some insurance firms and brokers, and we also can facilitate engagement in terms of insurance too. And then fixed deposits, you can actually fix with Lapo, because it's a savings product as well, but it gives you better returns, even as high as between 16 to 18% is what you can fix with Lapo Microfinance Bank. So again, we are a holistic financial institution here to help, here to walk you through, here to support you on your journey to financial independence. So please, we have posted social media handles on the chat. You can check them: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and then YouTube as well. You can reach us via those channels to start engaging with the Lapo Microfinance Bank. We're always here to support. And just to then finally wrap up, say thank you to everyone who has been here from the beginning. We started at 10, it's just a few minutes past 12, but I see a number of us are still here, and I hope that the conversations today have been worthwhile, they have been insightful, you have gotten one or two things to help you. I mean, the last thing is really that you have to do it now. So, I mean, when you hear, there's no point just hearing and, you keep hearing and hearing, but it's important that you take action, right? Some of the things you can begin to already take action on is, start saving if you haven't started. Start looking at investment vehicles for you and your level right now. But start doing something now. Start planning for retirement. Those are some of the actions that you can already begin to look at. Go and look at insurance. What kind of insurance? Health insurance, vehicle, business insurance, house, So just start now. That's what's really important. And all of the tips that have been shared on securing your funds, please, take note of those, right? So all of this hard work and the efforts we've put into growing our money, doesn't just go down the drain by being a victim of either cyber fraud or, scammers, and any of those ways that you can actually lose your money. So secure your data, secure your KYC, secure your details, your PIN, your usernames, passwords, your ATM cards. Ensure that you are up to date with updates, even from your financial institutions. But just be very aware and alert, and continue to work smart. So thank you. Please regards to Uche, who unfortunately couldn't be here for some emergency. Our regards to her as well. Thank
Certainly.
you all so much, and do have a beautiful day and happy Global Money Week.
Happy
Thank
Global
you.
Money
Bye.
Week. Thank you very much.
Happy Global Money
Bye.
Week.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lapo. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Do have a blessed day.
Are you ready for Lagos Women live at Lapo Microfinance? Don't look at they show adverts now, you don't look at
Was planning and execution.
And it's also important in the book, you also saying that the business owner is obviously key to the success and, of course, failure of the business. And therefore, it highlights the characteristics, the temperament of a business owner that will support and grow a business. And the book also ensures that, of course, advises a business owner not to neglect themselves. There is a tendency for most business owners in the process of commitment, grow your business, you want it to excel, you may also forget some other dimensions of your life. Your health, for instance, your family, your social relationship, and few other things. So this book therefore addressed the 12 dimensions, 12 issues that are critical to business success, which I think business owners should note and address.
Tonight, my Friday. Yeah. Knowledge is lost to. Yeah, we can remember me and some member.